Hi, I'm Katie Couric. Welcome to Eye to Eye. Every year, millions of people no longer able to work turn to the government for Social Security disability payments. But most applicants are left stranded, their claims denied or delayed. Armin Katayan spoke to the Commissioner of the Social Security Administration about a system that some say is failing the disabled.
What do you say to the people that have stood in that line, that 3-year line?
Well, I don't have a defense. I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think it should have been allowed to happen. So we're probably not going to be able to drive the backlog down at the rate that it went up, but we're sure as hell going to try.
Well, it's not easy for some of the people that are going through this process.
No, it should be easy because there are hundreds of diseases and conditions where we know by the nature of the disease or condition that someone is disabled when they walk in the door, and the only answer should be, let me get your check to you quickly.
But that hasn't been the case.
It hasn't been the case, but we've got it up and running now.
Okay, kids. I can't seem to get anywhere with anybody. So what I'm doing is putting together a video. You just heard the commissioner say that there are hundreds and hundreds of disabilities that fall within what they call the Blue Book of listing of impairments. Now, mine just happens to be one of those. And I'm going to zoom in here so you can see this. Let me move the camera a little bit. Spinal stenosis. If you can see it right here. Spinal stenosis. That's on the listing of impairments. Now, let me go through these. This might take a few minutes, so bear with me. It takes me a while after the strokes to get this stuff done. Okay, here's the official MRI. And the only reason they found the spinal stenosis was because of the stroke. Now you can see that I have multi-level spondylosis and or disc herniation in conjunction with facet arthropathy causing spinal canal and foraminal stenosis as described. This appears to be most marked at the C3, C4, C5, C6 levels, which means it's cervical, which means it's the upper part, and C3 and C4 are pretty close to the brain. So, this is on their listing of impairments. Now this is what's called, when you apply, you get either approved or denied. And I was denied. They said that I wasn't disabled. Well, I appealed it, and this is from the Administrative Hearing System, or what's called SHRT, and this is a summary order of disposition. And it says, Department of Human Services received a request for hearing in this matter for the programs listed below. Prior to scheduling your case, it was sent to the State Hearing Review Team. The State Hearing Review Team has now approved the following programs: medical assistance, which is Medicaid, retroactive Medicaid, effective as of August 2011, and state disability assistance. Therefore, the request for hearing is dismissed, and the local office of DHS is hereby ordered to immediately implement the eligibility determination of SHRT, including all necessary computer entries. So, and this is dated March 5th of 2012. So it's a little more than, 5-6 weeks ago. Now, this is what they based it on. And they hadn't received any information on the stroke or the spinal stenosis yet. You'll look down where it says recommended decision. And I'm going to kind of move this down a little so you can see it. And I'm going to see if I can zoom this a little bit. Under their recommended decision, it says, therefore, MA-P, which is Medicaid, is approved using the vocation rule as a guide. Retroactive MAP was considered in this case and is approved effective as of August of 2011. So, they didn't use any of the information relating to the stroke or the spinal stenosis in this decision. This is all based on the end result of my work accident in 1998. Okay. I contacted Senator Justin Amash's office, and they have been super. Within 4 hours, Stephen Denbor faxed them a letter, and I got a response. And I can't say any more good things about Justin Amash's assistants or whoever this Stephen Denbor is, because he said he'd do something, and within 4 hours he had done it. Now, DHS up here, they're kind of a pain in the butt, but what I want you to understand, this is Jonathan Baer, and he is the long-term disability specialist for Ionia DHS. And he says, Greg, there is nothing I can do through DHS to affect a Social Security Administration ruling. The approval of your disability status by the state hearing review team means for DHS purposes, you are considered disabled according to the disability standards of the Social Security Administration until a review date, at which time DHS sends new records to MRT to review the disability status. So, according to DHS, I am disabled, and they follow the disability standards of the Social Security Administration. Okay. Now, when I first applied for state disability, and if you look at the date up on top, it's dated December 1st of 2011. Well, DHS sent me to the ambulatory care clinic in Ionia, and I was examined by their doctor, never seen me before. They didn't work for me, they didn't work for DHS. But if you notice the circled part, for a long time I had this report and I didn't know what it meant. And I kept calling this office and calling them, and I could never get through to the doctor that examined me. Well, I finally got through to that doctor. And what that little check mark means next to qualified is that she considered me disabled as of 12/1/11. And somewhere in this report, nobody ever followed through on this. I mean, DHS sent me to a doctor of their choice, and that doctor determined I was disabled. Okay, the last one, and I'm going to kind of zoom in on this because this is the stroke. And I had the stroke on February 6th, and I didn't have insurance. Now, February 6th was a Monday. I woke up Monday morning and my left side was numb. My vision had, degraded 50%. And if you read this, it says there is an area of abnormal signal within the posterior aspect of the right frontal lobe near the convexity. La-di-da. Later it says a primary consideration is given to a subacute infarct. That means a stroke. However, the possibility for an infiltrating neoplastic process, which would be a tumor, is difficult to completely exclude. A short-term follow-up study is therefore recommended, which they did. About 6 weeks later, I got another MRI, and it showed evidence of the stroke. Now, if anybody is familiar with stroke, I'm not sure what the medication is called, but if they could administer that medication within 3 hours of the stroke, they can completely reverse the damage. Well, because mine happened at night, and I woke up in the morning, I didn't have any time frame. Also, because I had no insurance, I waited till 4 days later on the Friday when I was so screwed up I couldn't stand up straight. That's when I went to the hospital. What I want people to know is that I filed for disability in April of 2010. It's now April of 2012. As of today, some administrative law judge has had this on his desk for 4 weeks to the day. And it's supposed to be a compassionate allowance case, which you heard earlier in the video that Michael Astrew said they were processing within 2 weeks. Well, it's been on the judge's desk for 4 weeks. Dire need, whatever you want to say. It's just ridiculous. Here's another video I want you to see.
Hi, I'm Kitty Couric. Welcome to Eye to Eye.
Oop, wrong one. Here we go.
2 years ago, 52-year-old Sherry Farner was a manager at this Denny's restaurant.
I can't be left alone because I've fallen hard.
But heart problems, strokes, and kidney failure put an end to her employment.
This is the hardest thing I've ever been through, and I would wish this on nobody.
When Farner filed a claim against a lifetime of paying into federal Social Security disability, she was turned down twice, even though a rejection letter acknowledged she was severely disabled, but not disabled enough, unable to perform work of any kind.
It is a very tough standard, and you can argue about whether that should be the standard or not, but I'm stuck with that.
A 2-month CBS News investigation uncovered a system whose own standards have been called into question. A federal agency reeling from budget cuts and high staff turnover. Doctors making decisions outside their specialties, and inexperienced examiners under pressure to keep costs down.
Failing the disability on a very large scale.
Tricia Cardillo worked inside the system for years, reviewing disability cases in Ohio. She now fights for those seeking disability benefits.
There were a lot of times when I was fighting with management because I wanted to improve the class, and I had to go through so many steps and jump so many hurdles to do that, and it just seemed ridiculous.
All part, says Cardillo, of a culture built on denial. Examiners warned by their superiors that approving claims today could cost the government billions tomorrow. So are you saying, in essence, there was a quota system? You couldn't go above a certain quota for approvals?
Every state had different numbers, but they know that a certain percentage of people, once denied, will never find an appeal.
CBS News has learned that 2/3 of all applicants denied last year, nearly 1 million people, simply gave up after being turned down the first time. Given how many claims are ultimately approved, that could mean hundreds of thousands of Americans are not getting the benefits they paid for and deserve. One of the state senators we talked to told us that people were singled out and talked to if they approved too many claims.
You can approve too many, and you can approve too few. They're both wrong.
That's not what the examiner told us. She said that in her state, there were quotas that kept at a certain level.
That's not the way the system works.
Well, that's the way it worked in her office.
You can always find a disgruntled person.
But we found nearly 36 former examiners from 14 states who told us about a system-wide culture to deny. And a review of 50 cases across the country reveals patients diagnosed with strokes, heart attacks, even brain cancer, rejected for disability payments.
Nobody cares if a case is denied. If you approve it, it will be subjected to intense scrutiny.
No surprise to Sherry Farner, whose case was finally approved by a judge a few weeks ago, after a 2-year wait, but not before losing her car, life savings, and nearly her home. Armin Catania, CBS News, Atlanta.
Now I'm going to go back while I don't know how much more plain and simple this can be. I'm on your listing of impairments. The state says I'm disabled according to Social Security standards, but I can't get Social Security to do anything. And honestly, no income for 2 years. Think about it. I haven't had a haircut in 2 years. I can't afford to go to the store and buy toilet paper. I have food stamps, but what do I do for gas? What do I do for insurance? What do I do about losing my house? I applied for dire need status. It was approved. They're supposed to be doing an on-the-record review. Now, how much more medical information do you need to make that decision? That's where I'm going to stop this. I just need to know